So the streets are talking, Victor.
Hey,
Get him, daddy.
don't you walk on me.
Let's call Dylan and see what's up.
Hello.
Hey, Dylan, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Sorry for the delay there.
Nah, you're good.
I'm usually on time to the minute, but things happen. It's all right. We're here.
Good.
How you doing, man? I'm really excited to talk to you, bro.
I'm good. I'm really excited that you're having me.
Definitely, man. So you originally started in New York City, right? Before relocating?
Yeah, I was born in Manhattan, lived in Forest Hills, and up until I was about 12. So that's 3/4 of my life,
Yeah.
or probably 2/3, maybe.
So where did this all start for you? Did it start fishing in the city, or did you
Yep.
start? Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, fishing in the city. Um, well, it really started because I always loved fish. I loved aquariums. My parents would always take me to aquariums, um, like where you'd see fish in the tanks and everything. And then I got my own fish tanks, and I had all these exotic pet fish. And um, so I always had this fascination with fish. And then one time I was watching someone that builds ponds, like down in Florida, and I saw him like go fishing. That's the first time I ever saw someone catch a fish with a rod and reel. And I said, "Hey, Dad, can we do that?" And he said, "Sure." And we bought these little 2-foot fishing rod combos from Walmart. These little ugly sticks, and it came with line and everything. And we went to Central Park and fished in the pond on the south end, and we caught bluegill. And that was the first time I ever caught fish. And then I got into bass fishing a little bit, and I caught my first one in Prospect Park. And after that, I've been kind of just obsessed with bass fishing.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, listen up. We're launching something big for all of our Brooklyn Fishing Club members. It's the BFC Members Only Zoom series, and we're bringing back some of our most legendary guests from the podcast. Crazy Alberto Nee, Paul Dixon, Bouncer Smith, just to name a few. These are live, exclusive Zoom calls where you can ask questions, hear stories that didn't make the show, and connect with these legends in a private, members-only setting. Want in? Go to brooklynfishingclub.com and join the club today. You can also check out the full lineup of upcoming Zooms on our events page. It's free for members, but spots are limited. Don't miss it. I want to talk a little bit about, fishing in New York City. I mean, would you agree with me when I say that Prospect Park Lake is a pretty tough lake to bass fish?
Oh yeah, they all are.
They are, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have that many fish in general, and there's a lot of people fishing them because there's not that many lakes to fish in New York City.
Right. A ton of pressure on them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'd go out and we'd be lucky if we got a bite,
Yeah, but I'm sure it helped with things like learning how to cast precisely, stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
because
100%.
I felt like when I started fishing Prospect Park and going really hard, I would notice that when I went to fish somewhere else, I would be fishing really well because I'd been training at Prospect, where it's like,
yeah. Yeah, they seem dumber everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk more about that. What are some of the biggest fish you've caught in New York City?
Biggest fish I caught. My first fish was about a 2.5 pounder in Prospect Park. I lost a really big one in Central Park in the pond. I would fish the pond and I think the Harlem Mere.
Yeah.
And I lost like probably a 4-pounder. Looking back at it, it was crazy.
Did you know they have snakehead in Queens too? You ever try for them?
Yeah. I used to live there, like 5 minutes.
From that spot. We'll just call it that spot.
Called? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to burn them. I'm just going to say that spot. Anybody who knows,
yeah.
but we're not going to send everybody there.
Yeah. No, I actually tried going for them a couple of times, but it's pretty difficult with there's not many access points.
Yeah. My one buddy, Dennis, has been absolutely dialed in on him, man. He's gotten a few double digits out of there, actually.
Really?
Yeah, there's some monsters in there, bro. I actually went in there with the DEC and shocked the lake and did like a fish count,
Hmm.
and it's just completely invaded with snakehead, bro. Like,
That's crazy. Is it like
yeah,
getting better every year?
getting better for snakehead fishing.
Yeah.
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 So
Man.
yeah, but yeah, it sounds like you started out your career in like a tough area. I don't know anybody else from New York City that's made it onto the pro circuit other than you. So
Yeah.
after learning the ropes by fishing Prospect Park and stuff, what was the next step?
So the next step, I always played soccer growing up. So I'd be competitive. I practice 4 days a week and then go do the tournaments like either in the city or in Long Island or Westchester. So I'd always on the weekends, if I was in Long Island, I'd go try to fish somewhere in Long Island after the game. And if I was in Westchester or a little further upstate, I'd go try to fish somewhere from the bank. And it got to a point where I was like, hey, I want to go fish from more than just the bank because I think there's a lot of fish you could get to, out there. And we ended up getting kayaks, and we had a Mini Cooper, so we'd put these two red kayaks on top of the Mini Cooper and drive around everywhere to the soccer tournaments and everything like that. And I go play soccer on the weekends, get out, and all I could think about was going fishing. And it was for a while, it was like that, probably a year or two with the kayaks. And my parents just saw how determined I was to get better at fishing and learn new techniques and everything like that. And that's when we started thinking about moving south after I was kind of begging them, to move to a place with more opportunities for fishing tournaments. Because in New York City, people don't realize New York City is not anywhere near like good smallmouth country. Like as far as tournaments go, it's
Oh
it's a
yeah.
good it's a good 6 to 8 hours from the Finger Lakes and St. Lawrence River, Champlain. So it's a completely different world. Um, and if you live up there, um, there's not much going on for like a family, with my parents and my little sister. So we ended up going on a couple road trips down south, and we went to Texas, Tennessee. Trying to think, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, and we ended up really liking Florida. And my dad got a job down here, so it all kind of worked out together,
Beautiful.
and we were able to get a boat, and I started fishing tournaments, and I just went from there.
What part of Florida are you in?
Orlando.
Oh, cool. You're not that far from me. I'm in Jupiter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I also moved down here.
Oh, sweet.
There's just more fish, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for
I
sure.
love New York City, but I just felt like I caught everything I possibly could catch around there, and I like to,
Yeah, hundred
like
percent,
to push the limits, see what else I can do. But
100%.
while you mentioned smallies, did you ever go to Turtle Pond and catch some of the smallies in there in Central Park?
I did try. I never had enough luck to catch one. I saw some people catch some, like in person. I think my dad might have lost one, but no, I wasn't ever able to catch any out of there. But we did go to some lakes just outside the city limits, like in Westchester, and catch some smallmouth. That was always a blast.
You ever fish Kensico Reservoir?
Yep, that's the one. Kensico off the bridge.
I love that place, man. I've fished
Yep.
all over the world. That's one of my top 10 favorite spots. I used to go up there for lake trout. Big,
Yep, my
big
dad caught
trout.
some big lake trout off the bridge.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. That
Yep.
bridge, that water by that bridge goes down to like 120, 140 feet.
Yep.
Just chuck a spoon as far as you can out there, let it sink, slow retrieve. You'll get smacked by something. So was your dad, or is your dad really into fishing? Was he into this before you got into it, or was this like something that you got into and then
No.
like you brought the family into it?
Yeah, I kind of just brought the family into it. My mom says he used to go sometimes and wouldn't really catch anything. I think his spot was like Casino Park, and they'd like go and I guess they'd catch a few bass. Back then, it used to be a little better. And he took me one time after soccer practice, like when I was 10, and I caught a couple bass actually, and he couldn't get a bite. He was like, "What the heck?" And that was funny. But yeah, I kind of just got him back into it a little bit, but he really doesn't even fish now. He's more like helping me maintain the boat and work out my schedule and marketing and everything like that.
So he's kind of like your manager.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Very
Him
cool.
and my mom.
So you've got some really supportive parents there, man.
Oh yeah, I got the best parents.
I
I mean,
mean, damn, dude,
they
they
do.
really believe in you. They moved up and moved everything to another state just to try to advance your career. I mean, shout out to your mom and dad.
Yeah, big shout out. And it's actually my dad's birthday today.
Oh, happy
So
birthday, pops.
yeah, happy birthday.
Shout out to a legend.
Yeah, no, they're great parents. I mean, they do anything to see myself and my sister succeed, and that's all you can ask for.
Definitely. So I guess your soccer career kind of took a back seat, huh?
Yeah, I still played soccer when we moved down here, but we moved like right before COVID. Like literally that we moved in 2019 in December. So it was a couple months later and then COVID hit and it just it was hard to play soccer and it was really easy to just go fishing, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was crazy the way COVID canceled all those sports. I mean, imagine being like a senior in college on like a Division 1 team and you practiced your entire life to get to that season, then it's canceled because of some virus that's pretty much the equivalent of the flu. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy. Guys were
Crazy.
going back doing it for another year.
Yeah. I don't blame them. I would have done the same
Yeah,
thing. I would have been
yeah,
upset. Definitely.
yeah, 100%.
So as you're getting started in this, and let's just take a step back to before you guys moved. So you're fishing everywhere. You've got the kayak strapped to the top of the Mini Cooper.
Uh-huh.
You're putting in the work. Who are you like looking up to and learning from, like in terms of like fishing people? Like obviously you look up to your father and your mom and everything like that. But in terms of people who
Yeah.
are in the industry, was there anybody that you were like, that guy is inspiring me? I love what that guy's doing.
Honestly, I just watched as much YouTube videos as I could. Like anybody that was fishing out in New York City, I'm sure I watched every video from back then. I go on Fish Brain all the time and check out, who is posting what, where. But there is really no one in particular because I didn't know anything about the whole tournament scene until a whole lot later, closer to when we moved. So I was just kind of like a sponge for learning how to catch fish up there. And I didn't really know anything about the next level. It was always just go out and try to catch the most fish and the biggest fish and have fun with my dad.
Yeah. So what was the first tournament that you entered into?
So when I learned about tournaments, I joined a kayak tournament in New Jersey, and I did that. They let me do it if my dad was there watching over me because I was like 11, and
That's
so he
awesome.
yeah. So
Just
we
for
went
everybody
down there.
listening, how old are you right now?
I'm 17.
Okay, awesome. Keep going.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I was probably 11 or 12, and I think sixth grade. And I went and we got a hotel over there. I forgot the lake. It was like a trolling motor only lake. It was pretty small. Mike Iaconelli's actually made a show over there.
Oh, cool.
Um,
He's been
yeah,
on the podcast.
yeah,
I interviewed
yeah.
him.
Yeah, he's a real cool guy.
Good guy, Jersey guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
So did you win that tournament?
no, I lost like all the fish I had on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was kind of my first taste of tournament fishing. I was like, dang, this is brutal. When's the next one?
I love it.
Yeah,
You're like, I love the abuse. Sign me up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
So you got smoked on that one. When did you
mhm.
finally catch a break in the tournament scene?
I don't think I fished any other ones up there.
Oh,
We
okay.
just ended up moving.
So you didn't really fully dive into it till you got down to Florida?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I
okay,
think that
cool.
was my only like real. I did a couple like online tournaments. on like Tourney X, where you just take a picture and submit it, and it's like something for the month or something like that. But no real hardcore tournament fishing up there, except for that one little club kayak tournament.
So then in Florida, what was the first one?
So in Florida, um, I kept begging my parents, like, we need a boat, we need a bass boat, and I wasn't even asking for anything big. Like, I just wanted something to go start out with and get on the water, just so I could enter some tournaments. And my dad went on Facebook Marketplace, and he looks up bass boat divorce, and lo and behold, he finds this lady who just got divorced by this pro who gets like a super good boat deal every year. And she got the boat from the settlement, and she was asking for like 70 grand for it. And my dad was like, okay, here's 30 cash. and,
I love it.
and yeah, and there was all these. She was like, "Well, I have all these other people trying to buy it, but nobody, everyone was just trying to finance it." So 2 weeks later, she's like, "Okay, you can have it." So
That's
we got this
amazing.
boat. We have no idea what we're doing with it, and like it has some electronics on it. It has everything you need. Like it's a straight up tournament rigged out boat, and it had like 20 hours on it.
Wow.
So we're super excited. Like my dad didn't know how to drive it. I didn't know how to drive it. We didn't even know how to fish, and we just kind of that year. I fished one tournament that year in a local team sport fishing association. Uh, it's like this little club for people. You don't have to have a boat, and if you do have a boat, you'll get paired with someone that doesn't. And it's like the grassroots for youth fishing down here. It's really cool what they do. And I did one of those tournaments, and the dude in the back of the boat ended up like whooping me really bad. And I was like, "Dang, I don't know what the heck I'm doing."
Oh man. And this
Uh,
is a kid that's like your age.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what happened
And
there? You just couldn't hook up? What was going on?
I just didn't know how to like target bass. Honestly, I was throwing like stupid baits and
Like what?
um
What's a stupid bait in that scenario?
um. Honestly, what I was probably throwing like power fishing baits like swim jigs, topwater frog when I wasn't really around good fish, and he was kind of like throwing a worm and a fluke and just getting more bites. I mean, he didn't catch like a bunch of big ones, but he caught way more fish than I did, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What the heck?" And that's when I realized there's a lot more to it than just showing up and throwing a line in the water.
So a lot of learning experiences.
Yeah, a lot. Everything's a learning
I
experience. I
love it.
mean, from
Definitely.
from then on, like all I've devoted my like whole life to is just learning how to catch bass better every time I go out.
I love it. I love it, man. So after that one, you didn't do too well on that one, but it doesn't sound like anything discourages you that easily. It seems like you take a loss, you look at it, see what you could do better, and then just try again, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how it is now. It wasn't always that way. I'm sure I was pretty bummed out after that
Oh,
before,
okay.
but now the way I look at it is everything's a learning experience. I try to like take all the emotions out of it. It's just me being analytical. Like, okay, I got this amount of opportunities doing this. I made these good decisions. I could have done better here, and I'm just gonna take this and try to do better in the next one. You know, and that's how like people say you get spun out. They call it spinning out in tournament fishing, where like you're not getting bites or you're losing fish, and you start kind of like getting in your head
Yeah.
and making bad decisions. But that's something that's really helped me out. Is like I really don't spin out. Like I just take everything as it is. I try to take all the emotional decisions out of it because usually emotional decisions aren't the best decisions.
Right. Yep.
And I just, if I lose the fish, was there something I could have done? If yes, then I'll change something up. If no, then I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And I got a bite anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
doing something good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my approach to tournament fishing. That's really helped me to just be analytical not really let things get to me that I can't control.
Definitely. It's a great mindset. I feel like the spinning out, I feel like that can happen even outside of tournament fishing. I feel like I've spun out before, just like
Oh yeah,
fishing, where I'm just like, what the heck am I doing wrong here? And then there's some
yeah,
guy like 30 yards away from me who's like, it's the fifth time he's hooked up, and I'm like throwing the same thing. You get
yep,
in your own
yep,
head. It's tough. It's tough.
yep, 100%.
Do you have
Yeah.
something you tell yourself, like when you feel yourself starting to spin out? Like, is there something that you come back to? Like, is there how do you prevent the spin out at this point in your career?
Um, the way I look at it is, I look at everything like opportunities. And the way I define an opportunity is a fish, like a good fish, coming within like 100 feet of my boat to where I can, cast at it and get it to bite. So all I'm thinking about through the day is, how can I get as many opportunities as possible and how can I capitalize on that? So, but I'm never really thinking about, oh, I suck. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm never going to get a bite. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm throwing this bait. I've thrown it for 20 minutes now. I haven't gotten a bite. The lake sets up for this bait that might work better, or maybe another bait. Maybe I need to speed up. Maybe I need to slow down. Maybe the fish moved somewhere else. So I'm always just constantly making adjustments in my head and, with what I'm throwing, and but all these little decisions are constantly going through my head, and it kind of just like keeps me from worrying too much about the stuff outside my control.
Do you think that comes back to the way that you were raised by your parents?
Yeah, I think 100%. My parents, I mean, my dad's pretty laid back about school, but my mom would be like, if I got a 97 on a test and I came home, she'd be like, "What'd you miss 3 points on?" You know? So I kind of, they instilled that, hard worker. I wouldn't say perfectionism, but almost like,
But damn
what can be
close.
better?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's always like, what can be better? How can I be more efficient? And that's like my style of fishing, basically. How can I be more efficient and how can I maximize, whatever's around me?
How would you say that um, after these first few tournaments, you got the boat, you're starting to compete more? How did you finally start to get noticed by the big dogs like MLF? Like what were some like key tournaments that you won that were like turning points in your career?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll go through like basically everything. So I did that one first year down here. I did that one TSA tournament. I did horrible. Next year, I did TSA, and I did. I got a lot of experience fishing around here, and I did decent. But it's not a very high level of competition. But I got some confidence in myself. Like, okay, I did pretty good in this tournament. I never won anything. I got like a couple seconds. I was like, okay, maybe I could do this. The next year, I won a bunch of them, and then I had like a bunch of seconds, where I should have won, but I lost fish. And then I got a lot of confidence in myself, and I was like, okay, I can compete at a wherever I'm competing in, I could get to the top in like a year or two, So then I jumped up a step and I did, a big trail for high school in Florida where there's like 8 different tournaments throughout the year, and a state championship, and you go to all these different lakes. And I got my butt whooped. That was my freshman year, like absolutely whooped. I did good in like one of the tournaments, but I mean, out of 8 or 9, and it was brutal. So after that, that was my freshman year, and I thought to myself, like, okay, if I do this again, I'm all I'm doing is going around and donating to all these other people, and I got to do something about that. So I thought about it, and I ended up just staying around the house my sophomore year, and really just trying to learn my home lakes, like the Harris Chain and Kissimmee Chain, places that were nearby. And my mindset was, if I can't catch them like at my house, I'm not going to be able to catch them better than anyone anywhere else. So I just tried to learn how the fish migrate on these different places, and that's something that I quickly learned, just from like going back for say Saturday, Sunday, like spending consecutive days on the water really taught me how much that bass move. And it kind of shifted my focus from like a beginner's mindset of, okay, what's the bait I need to be throwing? What's the spot I need to be throwing? Like fishing. It kind of shifted from that to like, okay, where's there populations of fish that I can put myself around and figure out day to day what they're doing, how they're migrating, what factors play into how they set up on different parts of their environment, stuff like that. And my sophomore year, I really learned more about just bass behavior, and that is not as much tournament experience, but just learning my lakes. And I actually had fished a couple tournaments and did super good in them on my home lakes, and I qualified for the high school MLF national championship, and that was in Wisconsin. We went up there, and we missed the top 10 out of like 380 boats or something. We missed it because of a dead fish penalty, and we were like we missed the cut by ounces.
What
And
is the dead fish penalty exactly? It means they
it's
die in the
usually
live
half a
well
pound.
before the weigh in,
Yeah,
or yeah.
yeah. When you bring you catch your fish, you get to your five, and then if after you catch five, if the fish you caught is bigger than your smallest, you cull. And by the end of the day, you have your five biggest fish. You put them in a bag with water. You walk up, get in line, and everyone has to go through they call it the bump sink. And then you pour your fish in, and the guy makes sure they're all like 12 inches long and that they're alive or not. And if they're not alive, you get a 4 ounce to an 8 ounce penalty usually.
Ah.
So we got that 4 ounce penalty on one of the fish,
So what do you think? He
and
died on the line in the bag,
it,
or
it died. Yeah, it died in the line because
that's
it was
so
so hot.
annoying. There's got to be a
Yeah,
way that they could make that better, man. Like, are you kidding me? What? Why can't everybody just keep them in the live well till it's their time to go up to the scale? Why do you have to
that's the
stand in
thing.
line like you're waiting to get in a Target on Black Friday? Like, what is that?
Yeah, yeah, and usually it's okay, but that tournament, 380 boats is a lot of boats.
Yeah, it's a long
Uh,
line. Are
yeah, it
you
was a
kidding
long
me?
line. Like they should have been checking them at the boat,
Yeah.
like inside the live well at least to make sure it's fair. But it wasn't
You must
anything
have
we
been
could
pretty
really do.
frustrated about that one.
Oh man, I was mad, and I went straight from that tournament. We were gonna go home, but I had another national championship for Bassmaster, and instead of going straight home, we went and stopped on Lake Hartwell in South Carolina, Georgia, and I spent a week practicing there before it went off limits the month before the Bassmaster Nationals, and I ended up figuring some stuff out, and I used it that week of the Bassmaster Nationals, and we came in like I think it was eighth or ninth out of 400 plus boats. I think it
Wow.
was like 450 boats, which was a big deal to come in the
That is
top
a
10 in
big
that
deal, man.
tournament.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and that was our sophomore year. That's when we kind of started turning heads a little bit, like, okay, who are these guys
When you say
coming out of
we, do you have
nowhere?
a fishing partner, or when you say we, you just
Yeah,
mean,
in high school you have a fishing partner.
oh, you want to give him a shout out? Who is your partner?
Yeah, Tommy Russ. He was my high school fishing partner since my sophomore year,
That's
and
cool,
we
man.
got one tournament left, the Bassmaster High School Nationals. So
I just want to,
hopefully we can.
sorry, it's tough for me to, sometimes I interrupt because I
No,
can't
you're good.
I can't like see you. But before we keep talking about the tournament route that you went on, because I want to come right back to this, but you mentioned before that you spent time around your local lakes, um, just studying bass behavior. And I'm just
hmm
wondering, what were some of the biggest takeaways that you had from that time period in terms of the bass behavior? Like, what were some things you found?
Okay, so I learned something really important that bass pretty much have two motivators on where they're going to be and where they're going because they're never just randomly out somewhere. Sure, you could find like one fish out here and one fish, but I'm talking about like the vast majority of the population where you can go target them and have a good tournament finish and catch bigger than average fish consistently. And that's eating and spawning. So you had to learn like what time of the year they spawn and what to look for. Um, for spawning habitat and where they come from and how they migrate there, and then how they migrate back out to like their summer haunts. And then of course the bait fish. Whenever they're not spawning, they're feeding somewhere usually, or they're using their environment somehow to feed.
Right.
So
Do you think do
I
you
learned.
track the wind a lot? Like when I used to fish Kensico, I would look at the wind for like days, because if the wind had been blowing in the same direction for days, I could kind of count on the bait being in that spot. Does that
Yeah.
sound like something that's legit? I don't know. That was just always a theory I had personally. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. The wind blows the plankton, and then the bait fish end up going there. It's a little more difficult to predict that in Florida because our lakes are like bowls.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's really no contour to them. Meaning like there's no depth changes or anything like that on
It's
a
just
map
bowled
where you
out.
could just.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a little bit difficult to like predict it, but you can definitely know like, okay, if it's blowing south and the fish have been here for a week and now it's blowing north, you can bet money that they're gonna move with the bait fish. So yeah, I started paying attention to things like that. Bite windows, like with according to the moon, everything like that.
What about like barometric pressure? Do you take that into
hmm
consideration? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Dropping barometric pressure usually means that they're active feeding.
Let me ask you
They're up
this real quick.
roaming.
Dropping, I know, is always a good thing, but one thing I used to be so nerdy about this when I would go up to Kensico and go for these lake trout. I would look at the humidity. If it was close to 100% humidity, and I would look at the barrow and I would look to see if it was dropping, great, but more so if it was like moving. Does that apply? You think like if it might be going up quick, might be going down quick, maybe just if the barrow was moving, I would be like, all right, it might be worth. If the barrow was moving and the humidity was right, and obviously it wasn't like a hurricane, certain things that align. You know what I'm saying? Like how much of
Yeah.
this are you taking into account?
Honestly, I have to go fishing either way when there's a tournament.
Right.
So I kind of just pay attention to like, okay, when's the barometric pressure dropping? And that usually aligns with like the lunar bite times. And whenever that is, I can promise you my boat's going to be wherever I think the biggest fish are.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Gotcha.
you know, because that's when I have my best chance to make them bite. Because gosh dang, bass are getting smart. I mean, if you could figure out how to catch like 10 to 20% of the ones you come across in a day, then you're doing something right.
Yeah, they're getting smarter by the day. These darn bass.
Yeah, especially in Florida, because there's no seasons or anything. There's people out fishing 365 days a
Yep.
year. There's tournaments on these
Pressure all the
places.
time. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
So the takeaways from the bass behavior were you noticed where they were. What were the biggest ones again? Where they were feeding and when they were feeding. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, more like just their migration of like,
Okay.
okay, they start here in the winter time, and they go here because the bait does this, and then once the days start getting shorter and they get cooler, that's when they're thinking about spawning. And the second the water temp starts coming up after a cool front, they're gonna go push towards the bank, and they want protected water where it's a little bit cleaner, typically harder bottom. But now, like using electronics, we learned that a lot of the time bass are now spawning offshore, trying to get away from all the pressure on the bank,
That
which
kind of
is
makes sense.
interesting.
I mean,
Yeah,
if I was going to
but
spawn, I wouldn't do it at a concert. I'd probably go out into the middle of nowhere. you know.
yeah, that's a big thing they're doing. They're starting to spawn deeper, and you see that on Harris and Toho. People have known that for years now. It'll be like, well, where's all these big bass that are spawning? Because Toho has all these 10 pounders, and they're just spawning out in the grass in the middle of the lake. They'll just sit there and live there, and whenever the water temp gets right, they'll just spawn.
Wow.
So they don't have to go far.
And are they biting during the spawn, or is it like lockjaw?
I'm honestly not the best at that. Whenever I catch them during the spawn, it's usually up shallow. I'm picking out targets,
On like the
and I'm
beds?
letting my bait. Yeah, I'm picking out like an isolated group of lily pads, or an isolated group of reeds, and I'm pitching my bait out there after I found like an area that has a concentration of them that I know where the fish are coming into here to spawn. Because usually in Florida, if you can find one fish spawning, you can find a whole group of fish that are continuously moving into that area for the whole season.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and it's like almost never the same year to year in Florida. It's very odd. It has to do with like the changing water levels and the grass and watercolor. There's sediment on the bottom. Like there's all kinds of variables that go into like spawning fish in Florida that make it like really difficult to just pull up to the and say, oh, I caught him here last year. Let me go back.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes the tournament thing interesting because you can have as much experience as you want on a place, but sometimes like the spots don't help you. It's just more so knowing like what the fish look for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense because if you know what they're looking for, then you could go up to some place like the St. Lawrence River, which is, totally different than fishing in Florida, but you know what to look for, right? So you could
Yep.
take what you know from Florida and be successful in another setting.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely. So how many tournament wins did it take for MLF to notice you?
Probably this year, I had two top tens in the BFLs, which is the Bass Fishing League. They call it Phoenix Bass Fishing League. And I had two top tens, which was pretty good. And out of there's usually about 150 to 170 people fishing the BFLs in Florida, and
Uh-huh.
it's a there's some people that are, we call them donators, where they're just kind of showing up, no practice, just showing up to show up. But there's a lot of locals that fish these things that spent 20, 30, 40 years on these lakes and know them like from top to bottom, and they're pretty difficult to beat. So even to just be inside the top 10 after two of them, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then the third one, I ended up winning, and that really gave a lot of validity to the past two top tens. Now you could say, okay, this guy knows how to win, and he knows how to be consistent. And then that same week that I won the BFL, the next week I won the Toyota Series, which a Toyota Series is like the big dogs. It's
Yeah,
big entry
that's
fee,
a
like
big deal.
$2,000. Yeah, $2,000 entry fee. Top 25 make it back. Make their money back and fish the last day. Or sometimes it's the top 40 that cash a check, just
And
depending on how many people fish it.
yeah, and how many people are usually fishing that, or at least when you were fishing it?
Usually anywhere from 130 to like 200. So I think there was 150 in the one that I won.
So what's
But
what's the payout for that one?
the payout was 39,000 for
Wow.
first. Yeah.
That would
So
help.
that was
That would cover the cost of the boat and then some.
oh yeah. No, that helped out a lot.
So
I
you
mean,
won
this
that
year
one.
I think my earnings is like close to over 60,000 in just MLF this
That
year.
is amazing, bro.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Your parents must be
Thank
so
you.
happy.
Yeah, now I can help start paying for it. But no, it's definitely like the years of hard work just, paying off.
Yeah, and
Cuz it's
dude, it's
not.
only the beginning. You're only 17 years old. I mean, look at where
Yeah.
you're at. Like, imagine where you're going to
Yeah.
be when you're 27, you know?
Yeah. That's the crazy thing.
I'll be doing another interview with you. I'll be like, hey, man, remember me?
Yeah, that would be great.
Have you ever heard of this guy, Cooper Gallant? Gallant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow him on YouTube. I don't watch him as much now. I kind of don't watch as much YouTube now because I'm
Yeah.
so busy tournament fishing. But when he qualified for the Elite Series, I was watching like every single one of his videos.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he's been on the show. I interviewed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Coop's been on it. Had a couple other guys that I had on. Sam Hanji, I saw he follows
Yeah.
you. Yep, he was
Yeah.
on. We did an episode on how to fish in college.
Yeah.
I met him in ICAST. So yeah, man. So MLF takes a notice after the Toyota one, huh?
Yeah.
And then what happens from there?
So that was 2 months ago, and then my next one was another Toyota on Lake Seminole, which is the border of Georgia and Florida. That was like my arch nemesis lake. Like I've been there 5 times for a high school tournament, and I've never done good.
So
I was
were you
just
intimidated going into that one? You're like, damn it, I have to fish this lake again.
honestly, I was more excited to just try to prove something to
Right. Get
myself.
another shot at
Like
it, right? Yeah.
I was like, this is my time to change that. And I ended up barely missing the top 10. I came in 11th, and
God.
so I got a decent check, but I lost some big ones like the first day, and it was just actually every day I lost big ones, and I don't really know what happened
You're not
there. I
allowed to
think it
use a
was just
net, right? No.
you are,
Oh,
yeah.
you are.
Actually, my the first day missed one on the net. I looked back at the
Oh.
footage, and I was like, "Oh, dude, it was like
Oh my
half a
God.
foot away from the net."
No.
And yeah, but the other ones were just like I break off, or they just come off after a couple minutes of fighting them, like a really big one. It was really weird stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but I
So
don't know. In the Harris one, I definitely caught some fish that were barely hooked. That like 9 out of 10 times they would come off. So I was like, you know what? When it's your time, it's your time. When it's not, then you just got to keep going. You know?
yeah. Yeah. So when does so after Toyota MLF comes knocking? Is that what
Yeah.
happens
After
there?
that Harris one, that's when I started getting a lot of attention from MLF, and MLF just they provide a really great platform for any level. The lower one is the BFL, and then it goes to Toyotas, then the Invitationals, and then from the Invitationals you could qualify for the Bass Pro Tour, which is like their creme of the crop level. That's where like the big guns go and get a lot of money and sponsors and everything like that. And then you got college and high school also. So there's really something for everyone, and you don't even need a boat with MLF, which is so cool. You could be a co-angler and fish off the back of the boat and fish against other co-anglers in like a little side tournament.
Oh,
They have
really?
the pros and the co-anglers. Yeah, I actually fished a co-angler as a co-angler last week on Lake Gunnersville in Alabama, because my buddy he needed to link with someone that was a co-angler so that he could get in as a boater, because a lot of the time there's more boaters trying to get in and they need to keep it even. So I rode up with him, and I ended up coming in seventh out of like 171.
Nice, bro.
Yeah, yeah, that was like my first ever time as a co-angler, and I ended up like out fishing my boater the first day and the third day, and it was a real cool experience.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and
And
you
then
can win a boat if you win that tournament.
and when you're when you're out fishing them, are you playing it humble? You're just like, oh man, you'll get one. You just keep
I'm
hooking
like,
up.
oh man, I just got lucky. But in my head, I'm like thinking, okay, you're throwing that, and I'm throwing that, and we're not getting that many bites, so I'm going to change to something else. And
Yeah.
now I'm getting more bites, and yeah, it just shows like there's a mental game to fishing. It's not just luck,
Oh,
because
there's a giant mental game to this thing, dude.
there's no luck in beating somebody in the front of their boat that can choose wherever the heck they want to go. They can point their boat to like at the fish where you can't even cast up to the fish.
Right.
And I'm trying to be respectful. I'm not even messing with the front of the boat.
Yeah.
That's their game, and I know that from cows, because I've had cows mess me up where they're casting at the fish I'm casting at and catching them.
Really.
So I did that.
Any tense moments with the cows?
Yeah, I learned that the hard way on the St. Lawrence River,
Oh,
because there's
tell
like
me
a ton
about
of
it.
current.
What happened?
There's like a ton of current, and my first tournament up on the St. Lawrence River was a BFL. And so what you do on the St. Lawrence, because there's so much current, you can hardly even keep your boat in place. So you'll find a good area with a lot of humps and drop offs to make a drift, and you'll just drift back with the current, like about I think it was like zero point 0.7 to 1.2 miles an hour. So you drift back, and what the coast should be doing is either casting to the side and like drifting their bait back, like dragging it across the bottom, basically with the using the momentum of the boat, or they just drop it straight under the boat. So that way, they're either on the side or in the back, and they're keeping it out of your way. And I had one dude that would just throw up to the front of the boat, and his line was like right there, and he was just getting to everything before I could. And I even had like at one point I saw a fish on my graph, and I look over and his line's like right over where I need to cast at. And I'm not gonna tell him like, look, there's a 5-pounder right there, reel your bait in so I could cast at it. I was just gonna like not say anything, and hopefully the fish wouldn't see his bait. And he ended up catching it. I was like, oh my gosh. And that was the difference between That was the difference between a really mediocre bag and a really good bag. Just one fish.
Ah.
But I learned that the hard way.
Did you
So
say
now if I
anything to
have
him,
any,
or did you bite your tongue?
no, I just bit my tongue. But now I'll tell my guys like, hey, please don't cast at the front of the boat. If I have a really good bag, I'll go. I'll let you. And even on the last day of the Toyota, I won. I had a chance to beat like the 3-day weight record for a Toyota series because they're 3-day events. Like I needed 32 pounds or something the last day, which is an absurd bag, But I caught 33 the second day,
So it's
and
not
it
impossible.
was yeah, it was 11 o'clock, and I had 3 giant ones in the live well and 2 little ones, and they ended up weighing 25 pounds. So I had 3 giants and 2 little ones. I needed 2 more bites, and it was 11 o'clock. I had like 3 more hours to fish. And my guy kept asking me if we could do something different. And I was like, you know what? Sure. And he ended up losing the winning fish on the co-angler side. He lost a 3-pounder just fishing behind me doing what I was doing. Because I was fishing offshore, which was a little bit difficult for a co-angler without, having the mapping and the electronics. But he I left the side scan on for him and the mapping, and he was able to see the grass down there, and he would just blind cast, and he lost the winning fish for him. And then we went and messed around for the last 3 hours and didn't even help him.
Oh man.
But I'll help my co-angler out. Sometimes it's burned me.
Yeah, I mean, you
But
never know when you're gonna need their help, right? I mean,
yeah, honestly, like, I feel like the biggest thing with co's that I've seen is if you just keep trying to do your thing and you don't ask your boater to do anything for you and you just figure it out, that's your best shot. And that's what I did in at Lake Gunnersville last week, and
yeah,
I had a pretty good turn. I should have came in fifth, but my boater's live well stopped working the third day, and I had 3 dead fish, which is stout. That's a 12-ounce penalty.
that's bad.
And as a co-angler, co-anglers aren't catching all these giant fish from the back of the boat. Like 12 ounces is a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like probably $1,500 worth of a penalty.
Oh man.
But he wasn't even checking his live well either. But he was a cool guy. I check it occasionally, and then one time I look in there, like every hour I check it, and then it was about 10 o'clock, and I look in there and I'm like, dude, all our fish are dead.
Oh my god.
They're all floating upside down like a stone. It was.
Let me ask you this: if somebody wanted to be a co-angler, obviously they don't have a boat, or maybe it's not obvious, but if somebody doesn't have a boat and they want to be a co-angler, how do you go about finding some? How do you go about getting paired with someone that has a boat?
Yeah, so it's actually not that hard because they're always looking for co-anglers. Usually, there's more boaters trying to get into these tournaments in the BFLs and the Toyotas, and so they'll. You could go on Facebook, and there's like a BFL Toyota Series linking page, and you just post on there that, hey, I'm looking for a boater link, and just find someone real easily. You go link together, and basically the way you do that is you both call MLF and give your MLF ID, and then they'll confirm it, and then you're both guaranteed a spot in the tournament. Otherwise, as a co, you could probably just sign up, and
It's
they'll
pretty
find a
cool.
boater for you. Yeah,
I might try to
and,
do
and
that. Honestly,
yeah,
it
and
sounds like fun.
sometimes if you wait until the last minute and there's a lot of boaters still looking for co-anglers,
Yeah.
the boaters are willing to pay your entry fee,
Ah.
and sometimes your lodging. That's what we had to do last year when I fished a Toyota on Champlain, like my first ever Toyota. I signed up like about a month and a half in advance, which was too late, I guess, and I ended up having to pay someone's entry fee with like $500 on top of my $2,000 entry
Wow.
fee.
And these are people your age, right? This isn't like, but like if I as an adult like wanted to get in on one of these tournaments, I could just hit up Facebook BFL linking page and try to talk my way onto a boat. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, no age. I mean, I'm the minor. There's not many kids doing it. This is mostly like
Yeah, so maybe
adults.
I'm just like over here assuming that you're fishing with other kids your age, but that's not the case. You're telling me you're fishing with like
No,
grown adults and like you've got some guy on
no,
the back of the
yeah,
boat that's casting up in front of you. Is that what you're,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. No, the BFLs and the Toyotas. If you're 16, you can fish it. And I remember last year I was definitely the only 16-year-old fishing it.
Wow. That is so freaking cool, man. That is so cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So you've had to be around some like older people. Like you're
hmm
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So wow. How much equipment do you have on the boat? Do you have like the scope and like everything? Like how much equipment
yeah.
is even allowed? Are you allowed to have anything you want? Like can you have the live scope? Can you do whatever you want?
Yeah, so now they're regulating it. So you can only have two live scopes maximum. So that's what I have. I have two live scopes on my trolling motor, and they're just pointed in different orientations. So I have one facing forward that just gives me like a straight snapshot view of wherever I'm pointing the trolling motor. Then I have one in like a landscape mode that gives me like an over the top view that's like way less detailed, but like you get the broader picture. And I'll use both of them in like a combination, and then of course like mapping in the back and the front, like where I manage my waypoints, and I study the mapping a lot when I'm in the garage. I find a lot of places to fish when I'm just looking at the map and look for high percentage areas where I'm like, okay, they spawn here, then they have access to deep water here. There's a lot of like stuff in between habitat for them to be on, so that looks like a good place. And I'll just go for hours and hours before I go somewhere new, just looking, studying the map and looking for like the highest percentage areas, you call it, for where to fish. And then side scan on the back is a really big deal.
Why?
um, so that's like how you find fish offshore when you're idling. So basically, like before your boat gets on pad, probably like 3 to 6 miles an hour, you could idle. Some heavier boats you could idle faster, and you're just basically pushing through the water, and your boat's flat, and your transducer in the back of the boat's in the water, and you could see out about 100 feet to 150 feet on either side of the boat. And that's how you look for structure under the water. And if you set it closer, like the range closer, you could see a more detailed image like a fish. And that's how you could be really efficient at finding fish offshore. That way you're not just looking straight under the boat. You're looking at 100 feet to the side.
So you're
You could
really
cover
getting
a
a
lot
good
of
look.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could cover a lot of water side scanning. I've spent weeks side scanning, um, like my home lakes, and some tournaments in the summer where it's going to get one offshore. Sometimes all you do is just scan offshore and look for places to fish, and maybe you'll find like a dozen places to fish in 30 hours of scanning over 3 days. But all you need to do is go in the tournament and figure out the right rotation of those places with fish, because there's not fish everywhere. Usually it takes like a lot of time to find them. And that's what separates the people that finished in the top 10 that put the work in and were smart about where they would choose to scan, and how they manage their practice versus everyone else that had a mediocre finish.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, listen up. We're launching something big for all of our Brooklyn Fishing Club members. It's the BFC Members Only Zoom series, and we're bringing back some of our most legendary guests from the podcast. Crazy Alberto Nee, Paul Dixon, Bouncer Smith, just to name a few. These are live, exclusive Zoom calls where you can ask questions, hear stories that didn't make the show, and connect with these legends in a private, members-only setting. Want in? Go to brooklynfishingclub.com and join the club today. You can also check out the full lineup of upcoming Zooms on our events page. It's free for members, but spots are limited. Don't miss it.
Yeah, so these lakes are massive. You can't cover any of them, like the whole thing. Like no tournament lake you could go from top to bottom and scan all of it, or even fish all of it around the bank. Like these places are huge. That's how they can fit so many boats on them.
That's the only way to do it, right?
hmm
So, would you say that when you say offshore, my mind goes to like tuna, But when you're talking
Yeah.
offshore with bass, you're just talking like the middle of the lake, right? Would you say that the
Yeah.
offshore bite is harder to dial in on than, fishing the bank?
It honestly just depends on the fishery and the time of year. I'd say the clearer the water is, the deeper the fish usually like to just live. And and those are probably the easier places to fish offshore. The dirtier the water, the more difficult it is to fish offshore because
Yeah.
they prefer to be shallower, and electronics don't work as good in shallow water. The guys that are really good, learn how to do it. But it's a lot more difficult to pick things out in shallow water and dirtier water. And also with dirtier water, you have to put a bait right in front of a fish's nose for it to bite it, which
Right.
is always why it's hard. It's harder to be consistent on a dirty water fishery than a clear water fishery, because on a clear water fishery, you could just be around the fish and they'll swim up to your bait, if you have the right presentation. A dirty water fishery is you have to have the right presentation and it has to be on its nose for the fish to bite it, basically.
Yeah. Do you use any like scents, like Dr. Juice or anything like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I use so I used to be big into it like when I was starting, and then I kind of got away from it. I basically just got lazy. And then I had a tournament on Okeechobee where I knew I was around some fish and I was just having a hard time generating bites. And my co-angler, he pulls out this bang spray, like it was shad, and he starts spraying it all over his baits. He was like, "You want some?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And then he starts freaking whacking them. Like, "Hey, dude, can I get some of that?" And he's like, whatever mine is yours, buddy." He was like this older gentleman. He was probably like he was definitely like the youngest guy and the oldest guy fishing together,
That's
which was pretty
awesome.
funny. And he gave me some of that, and instantly, like, I started catching more fish, and I was like, "Dang, dude, you were right."
Yo, some of those scents, they don't play, man. I'm gonna give away a secret right now. Dr. Juice, the shrimp scent, bro.
Okay.
When nothing else works. And there's something
Oh.
about that shrimp scent because it's designed for saltwater.
Uh huh.
But dude, I used to when I used to go up to Kensico with Kitex, I would put all my
Oh yeah.
Kitex into a Ziploc bag. I would
Yep.
empty an entire bottle of Dr. Juice into the Ziploc bag with them. And I'm talking like a
Yep.
bunch of Kitex, 3 inchers all the way up to the big ones.
Mhm.
And I just let them soak for like 2 weeks. And then
Yeah.
I'd go out with them and just absolutely kill shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big
Smallmouth
secret I just
love
gave
scent.
away, but man,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
just
even
wrote that
care.
down. I'm gonna get some.
Yeah, Dr. Juice shrimp. It works, man. It works.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, definitely. So, yeah, let me see here. So now that we're on the topic of baits, I mean, I know it all depends, but what are some of your favorite lures to throw?
Favorite lures. Okay, I'm gonna give you an answer probably everyone gives you. Whatever I could catch the biggest fish on that
That's
day.
pretty generic, dude. Come on.
And I'll
All right,
tell you
let's talk.
this.
Let's talk. Yeah, yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
I have like 30 rod. I have 30 to 40 rods in my boat at all times, and I have probably 20 of them strapped to the front deck of my boat. Um, but the thing is, like, there's just certain situations where you need to pick up something. And there's, I mean, obviously there's some days where they're biting this. They only want this, but I can't. It's hard for me to even remember a time where it's like you need to be throwing this one bait. Like, for example, on Okeechobee, the first tournament of the year, um, the first BFL of the year, I pull into this pocket with like 10 other guys, and some of them are like really well known locals. And I was like, oh, holy crap, you know? And I was like, dang, I got to fish against these guys here. And so they're all throwing, they're like power fishing. They're throwing like popping frogs, top water, throwing swim jigs. And I had all this stuff tied on, but I just looked around and I was like, well, nobody's slowing down and throwing a worm. And so I started throwing a worm and I caught like 25 pounds on it that day and I came in second. But the thing was, everyone else in there caught fish on whatever they were throwing.
Yeah.
But it was my decision to slow down and pick up something a little bit more finessey behind them.
Yeah. When you say you're
That
throwing a worm, are you talking like Senko or what are you doing?
yeah, that was a Senko. That's a real big deal for spawning fish.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A Senko on a lightweight, and you just pitch it in where you think there'll be a bed, and you just let it sit there. It's the dumbest thing. Like your
Texas
bait's
rig
not
it.
doing anything. Yeah, and I think what the fish do is like they get kind of spooked on the initial drop, and then they kind of just come back and they're like, "Why didn't that thing leave?" And they
Yeah,
pick it up and try to move
they're
it.
like, get this thing out of my house. It's got to go.
Yeah, yeah. So Senko is a really good spawning bait, and obviously, like if they were biting a frog better or a swim jig, then those guys would have caught them better because those baits you could cover a lot more water with. They have a lot more drawing power, and you could make more casts within a day. But it was the slowing down thing that really helped me out, and that's a big deal in Florida, especially, and in spawning fish in general. Slowing down really seems to get you more bites sometimes. Um, but as far as other, let me think. Like other, I'll go by times of the year. So that's spawning baits. Um, pre-spawn. Usually the fish are like grouped up, feeding really heavily, because when they go up to spawn, they quit feeding completely. So they need to get fat and healthy. The females need to bulk up and have their eggs. So things with a big profile usually seem to entice the fish. So like
Like
a
a
big
big
heavy
swim
tatter
bait or
bait,
something.
a big swim bait, yeah, a
Yeah.
big worm on a Carolina rig. Anything usually big, and sometimes maybe you need to talk them into buying a little bit. Maybe you have to go against the grain, throw something a little bit smaller. If you know you're around them,
Right.
and you got to slow down. But usually something that gets their attention and they want to go out of their way and go for a meal with a lot of calories because the water's cooler and they don't want to move as much. Their metabolism's slower. So you need something with a little bit more drawing power, or you throw something finessey and you put it in their face, and like a certain percentage of them, you could just talk them into biting, basically, by playing with their emotions, being like, "Oh, this thing's in my face and it won't leave me."
I
Dang,
love it. I love the way you talk
yeah,
about this, playing with their emotions, talking to them. You got this
yeah,
down to a science, man.
yeah. No, there's a lot more that goes into it than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
Um, and I learned that the hard way. But
Sometimes that's the only way we learn.
yeah,
At least for me.
so
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, that's the best way,
It is.
honestly.
It is. It's the best way. It's the quickest way to the source of what you need to do
Yep,
right the next time.
yep,
But
100%.
so yeah, those are some good. Do you? I was going to ask you this. I didn't want to interrupt you though. Do you have a certain color of Senko that you love, or does it all depend on like whether you're fishing dirty water or like a clean reservoir?
Yeah, yeah, it's all watercolor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually in Florida, the water we have here is very tannic, which tannic is weird because to the naked eye it seems pretty dirty. But the fish can see really far. It's very odd. But usually you throw darker colors in that tannic water. Not necessarily bright, but dark colors, and it kind of blends in with the tannic water and it matches like what those bait fish like bluegill and shiners what they look like in that darker water. So black and blue is a very good color for tannic water. June bug, very good color. And if the water's cleaner, uh, like clean tannic water, watermelon red is very good. It looks like a gold shiner.
Yeah.
And fish absolutely hate gold shiners when they're spawning because gold shiners love eating their eggs.
Ah, there you go.
And yeah, and then if they're on bluegill beds, then like a bluegill color swim jig. But in Florida, especially, you don't have to get complicated with the colors. I mean, it's either a dark color, it's either like a white shad looking color, or it's something in between where that water is a little bit clearer, or you're trying to match like a bluegill or something that's green. So watermelon or green pumpkin. But that's basically the three genres of colors that you have in Florida. And then you get outside of Florida and there's a little bit more nuanced things. Like say that Lake Hartwell in South Carolina, Georgia, I was talking about. They eat blueback herring, which are like super pelagic. Um, they'll swim out in the middle of nowhere because they're from the ocean. Those fish are chrome. Like those herring are chrome. So
Mm-hmm.
they love anything that's chrome. Anything that has like chrome flake in it, any kind of top water that's straight chrome, they love it. That just triggers them because that's what they naturally eat. So there's little things like that, and you could definitely dial in one of those like little color genres to something more specific on a certain lake. But usually you don't have to get that complicated.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like obviously I'm not a professional bass angler, but the two colors that have always produced for me are, for Senkos at least, is the watermelon. And I'll throw that in like dirty water. And then if I'm fishing like a deep, clear reservoir, I would throw the black worm with the purple flecks or the bright blue flecks. And that seems to work. I don't know.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep throwing it. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you have any superstitions when you go out there?
Honestly, I used to be like a little bit superstitious.
About what?
Like, nervous. I don't know. Like if things weren't going right, then I'd be like, "Oh, my day's over." Or like if we're like driving to the lake and there's traffic or something, and my dad would be driving, but if we kept hitting red lights or something,
You're just like, this isn't gonna work today.
yeah. But now, like, I try to take as much that goes for like the being analytical side of it. Like, if there's something out of my control, I'm not worrying about it, especially on tournament day or practicing. Like, I'm just worried about everything that's gonna help me.
You have anything you do for good luck?
Good luck. I mean, if I'm catching them and I'm wearing the same hat, I'll just keep wearing that hat. That's probably about it. That's probably about it. If I stop catching them, I'll probably put a different hat on.
There you go. Does your dad have any superstitions, or is he just kind of rolling with it and taking your lead?
No, I don't think he has any superstitions. We're not really superstitious people.
I want to go to Kensico with you guys next time you're up there.
Dude,
let's go catch some lake trout, dude.
Yeah. Do you have one of those John boats?
No, I don't, dude. I caught all my big Lakers. I got a double-digit brown out of there.
Really?
Yeah, man, all from shore. I stopped striped bass fishing. I pretty much stopped fishing for anything other than trout, and I would go up there every chance I got, and I would walk the lake. I've fallen into that lake at least 5 times trying to get to like the perfect rock or
Dude, that's
whatever.
So sick.
But I'm obsessed with that lake, dude. I almost want to like edit it out of the podcast because I don't even want anybody going up there. Even though even though I live in Florida and I haven't been up there in like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's just like the last one I got up there was a 28-inch Laker, and I released it.
Man,
but I've eaten a lot of fish insane. Out there. I got a 10-pound brown out of there in February on a 3-inch Kitech, dude.
That's funny because that's what my dad would be throwing when he caught on Kitech.
Dude, and I was going to ask you this. Have you ever heard of this lure, the laser minnow?
No.
Oh, man. So the laser minnow is this jig. I thought you might have heard of it because when I first found it, the description online says that it's made for vertical jigging bass. And they have this one glow-in-the-dark jig that is just, dude, I swear by it. I knew that if I went up to Kensico with the right humidity, the right barrow, the right wind, everything, and I'm throwing the glow-in-the-dark laser minnow, I would go up there with the utmost confidence that I was going to go home with dinner, you know?
Yeah, that's sick.
And I would soak that in the shrimp juice for
really?
like 2 days. Yeah, and hold it and put the bag under a light so that the thing would just be glowing as bright as possible when I cast it out there. Because some of the spots I would hit from shore, I'm casting out into 80, 90, 100 feet of water.
Right.
And once I switched up to the glow in the dark, it's all reactionary bites. I mean, I think these lake trout saw this thing come down there and they're looking at it like it's a goddamn UFO and they have to kill it.
Yeah. And that's a hard bait?
Yeah. Laser minnow.
Wow. That's really interesting. You said you put scent on a hard bait.
Put scent on the hard bait, throw it under the light, let it sit there for like a week, dude. Is
that like a thing in saltwater? Like sensing hard baits?
Yeah, like using gulp and stuff.
Yeah,
like
because that's
soft bait. But with the hard baits, I don't know. I was just trying to. I was just trying whatever to see what would happen, you know. And I was logging so many hours up there that, you know, I started to hit them. I started to really connect with them on this the one laser minnow that had the black back, and then I'm like, all right, I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna try the glow in the dark. And then once I started the
Yeah.
glow in the dark, dude, it was, and I'm sure I caught a 22-inch bass there too.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, dude,
How
20.
big's that? Like a 6 or a 7?
That's probably like a 5 or 6. Yeah, I would give that, you
Really?
know, very conservatively. I never try to go
That
over.
that yeah, that's very conservative for a northern string
Yeah,
bass.
it would. Oh no, for a largemouth, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and the way I got them too was once in a while. And I'm giving away all my secrets, but whatever. Once in a while in the summer, they drain the lake. They open up the dam,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and the bank of the lake recedes, and
Uh-huh.
you can walk out to where these ledges are. And I
Yeah.
sight fished this one on an 8-inch Kitech. Dropped it down and
Really?
smoked them, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Holy
I
cow.
love Kitechs and laser minnows. Those are my big things. And I think
You're
if
gonna
you're gonna
have to
if you
teach me.
I'm gonna show you, dude. If you because we're talking about, fishing for bass offshore, do you ever vertically jig for them? I mean, you should try the laser minnow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll have to for sure. I mean, in Florida, it's a little bit difficult to find fish that will bite underneath your boat because a lot of time when you say deep offshore, it's like 10 foot. And they'll get spooked real easily when they're sitting under a 20-foot boat, you know. But on a bunch of other lakes, we throw like spoons and basically spoons is like the biggest vertical bait that seems similar to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love throwing spoons. I love freshwater,
Yes.
man. I do. This is a lot of saltwater guys listening to this show, but and I've got some haters that have hit me up and been like, "Oh, you're catching bitch ass trout." I'm like, dude, you come out to Kensico and walk your ass around
Um,
this 27 miles of shore, and you come out
that's not
here.
easy.
No, and you hike off into the woods and disappear for days on end. Like there was times I just slept out in the woods. Like,
Really.
yeah, I was obsessed with that place, dude.
Oh
When I
man.
got that double digit brown, that was like maybe 4 months into fishing there. And when I got that fish, I was like, I'm going back there every day.
See, that's the kind of stuff that I'm so fascinated by because that was my reality. Like that's all I had. Um,
Yeah, dude.
5 years ago. That's all I had, and I was the same mindset I have now about trying to get better. That's all I cared about back then when I was fishing up there. So like that's just bringing out that I mean I'm still a kid, but that's bringing out that like 10-year-old
Yeah,
and inside from me because like
definitely.
if you told me that back then, I'd be like crapping my pants.
Oh, dude, we would have been out there together, freaking nuking
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Oh
that's
man.
cool.
But so when you're going to a new lake, how do you prepare for it? Do you get X amount of days to fish it before the tournament, or how are you doing that?
Yeah. So bigger tournaments, I shouldn't say bigger. So Toyota Series, there's no off limits for practice. When you get into the bigger national level high school tournaments, you get an off limits for practice, meaning like you get 3 designated days before the tournament, 2 or 3 designated days of practice where you're allowed to be out there daylight to dark, and the whole month before that it's blocked off, where you're not allowed to go there to try to like give everyone to try to make the playing field a little more even for if you live 12 hours away versus someone where that's their home lake. And so the Toyotas, there's nothing like that. You can fish as much as you want. And something I learned the hard way is my dad, being as supportive he is, he's like, okay, we'll go practice a week, we'll go practice 2 weeks. And those are the tournaments where I got beat the worst because I'd show up, and as efficient as I am, I'd go figure out the fish in like a couple days, and then I'd be like, oh well, what do I do now? And then in the tournament, I go try to do what I did when I first came there, and they're long gone, and
Probably
that's
so
when
frustrating.
yeah, and I'd be like, that's when I started realizing like you need to. I've always been a hard worker, like in school and playing soccer and fishing. But that's when I realized, sometimes it's better to work smarter than harder. To just go like the 2 to 3 days before and figure out what the fish are doing then, not just spend 2 weeks there and say, oh well, I've been here 2 weeks, I'm going to catch them, because that's not. that's not the reality of it. Bass have tails and they swim around, and they're constantly moving, whether it's because of bait fish, whether it's because they want to go make babies, or because of straight up fishing pressure. uh, and when you get like these 150, 200 boat tournaments, you can bet that most of those fish out there are going to get found and
Yeah.
pestered with, and they're going to start moving around because they've seen Jimmy Bob eat something and never come back. They're going to be like, what the heck?
Jimmy's gone.
Yeah. And especially like if the water's clear and you're fishing for like a group of fish. If this happened to me at Seminole when that last Toyota series I fished as a boater. I started on a school the first day, and there was only like about 10 fish in it, and it was a sneakier place because it wasn't obvious, and there was only a few fish there, but they were big, and the first 5 bites I got, I lost like 3 big ones, and I just watched all those fish get up and leave, and they never came back. There's something about like losing a fish while you're fighting it, and that fish like darting off like a bat out of hell. They don't like that at
He
all.
goes and tells all the friends, "We gotta get out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Now,
Dylan's here."
if you caught the fish and put it in your live well, all they think was that fish was eating something, and they want to get in on it. They're all fired up.
So
So
there's a
there's a
whole
real fine line to.
psychology to these fish.
Oh yeah, no, these little suckers. I don't know how big their brain is. It's like the size of a pea. They're these guys are tricky.
Smarter than they look.
Oh yeah.
So what's next for you?
So next, I have one more Toyota regular season Toyota this year. It's next month up in Lake Champlain in New York. I'm super excited for that. That's like my favorite place in the world. I went up there last year to fish my first Toyota, and I ended up like 17th, which is really good. I got a good check, and actually, I was in the top six after the first 2 days, and the third day. So I caught 20 pounds, almost 21, and then the last day I caught like just under 18. And you wouldn't think like it's that big of a difference. And I fell down to like 17th because that place is so full of 4 pound smallmouth. It's crazy. There's not that many 5 pounders, but there's a lot of 4 pounders. And so that place just has so many bass in it. It's so cool.
So for
And
that,
then
you're
after
driving all
that,
the way up, all the way. Sorry to interrupt you. After that,
you're good.
you're driving all the way up from Florida to that spot. Is that
Yeah.
what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, we're gonna go stop on the way on. It's called Clarksdale in Georgia, and that's where the Bassmaster High School Nationals is gonna be.
Oh, cool.
And we're gonna go. I'm gonna spend about a week up there before it goes off limits, and go basically just scan around and look for these offshore places the fish will be, because it in the middle of the summertime on a deep lake like that, most of the fish are going to be offshore. And I'll definitely spend a little bit of time up shallow looking for some of those, big cruising largemouth, the ones that just eat bluegill. But that lake has a lot of blueback herring in it, and it makes those fish just go crazy offshore.
Probably
And it
some
has spotted
big
bass
bass in
too.
there.
Oh yeah, there's really big ones in Clarksville.
What's your
It's
what's your
cool. Like,
PB bass?
my biggest was an 11 pounder on the Harris chain. Yeah,
That's a big fish, man. Oh my
yeah,
god.
26 inches long.
Wow.
I was practicing for a tournament last year, and I caught a 7, and I called my buddy Tommy, my high school partner, and I put him on FaceTime. I was like, "Hey, look at my 7 pounder!" And I cast back out there, and I have my phone laying down on the deck so he could see like my rod. And I said, "Oh, I got another one," and I set the hook on it, and like I set the hook pretty hard. So I go take a step back, whack, and it just goes in the opposite direction, and I'm like, dude, this is a banging. And I finally go. I keep yelling at, dude, this is 10 pounder. This is 10 pounder. And Tommy's like, did you weigh it yet? I'm like, dude, I haven't even grabbed it yet. It's still swimming. And I got it in. It was 26 inches long, 11 pounds, and that was a pretty cool fish.
That must have been one fat bass, man.
Oh yeah, the year before I caught on the same lake on the Harris chain, I caught a 25-inch bass that weighed 10 pounds, and those things are stout. And the 10 pounder was a funny thing because there's a lot of canals in these Florida lakes, that connect to each other. So I
Yeah.
was fishing the mouth of one of these canals where you get from one lake to another, and there's a boat coming through, and I'm practicing for a high school tournament because I'm always fishing some tournament. Either I'm fishing a tournament or I'm practicing. So I don't want to pull up on this fish when there's people coming through and show them there's fish there. So I set the hook into it, and I have no idea how big it is. I just set the hook, and I have it on for a second. I got a good hook in it, and then these guys are coming through. I'm like, I guess I'll just push the button on my reel and let the fish go. So I'm letting the fish go. It's on the opposite side of the canal. These guys idle over my line, and I like wave at them, and it was so funny. I let that fish swim around for 2 minutes, and I start reeling in, and it starts dogging me. It's like a 10-pounder, and I have it all on my YouTube channel. My YouTube's called Mondos for Life. That's Mondos, the number four, and life. And that's like my most viewed video. It has like over 20,000 views.
You got to
Really
send me a
funny.
link to that.
Oh yeah, I will. Yeah.
Oh man, I was about to ask you if you could give any advice to anybody on the come up, what would it be? And then I was like, you're 17. I don't know, but like, I'm talking to you. It's like I feel like I'm talking to somebody like who's like in their 30s, dude. You're like,
I mean,
I
honestly,
can't even imagine where you're gonna be at in like 10 years, bro. I feel like I got in early here. I'm like, this kid is the future because Jason Gay, who wrote that article on you in the Wall Street Journal, he's a longtime Brooklyn Fishing Club guy. And him and his son have been in the club for years, and he sent me the article, and I was like, oh, cool. Let's talk to him. So, yeah, dude, I feel like, this is just the beginning for you. You've got a supportive family. Your dad, is holding you down. Like he's held you down since day one. I mean, as long as you don't like develop some weird addiction to like gambling or drugs, I think you're destined for greatness.
Oh man, I'm already addicted to gambling. All I'm doing is putting up money and trying to get it back fishing.
I know, right? There's such a fine line between gambling and fishing, man. There really is. I normally ask that question to, a lot of the adult guys is, do you see a correlation between gambling and fishing? Because you're putting this money up. You're hoping for the best. I mean, there's more skill involved than there is, going to pull a slot machine or something. But I mean,
no,
how much different is it?
No, it's I'm not a poker player, but I know somebody that is, my friend Aaron Jaworski, and when he's not fishing tournaments, and he's really good from Florida, he's one of the best guys to come out like the high school fishing, and now he fishes the Bassmaster Opens, which is pretty high step. But if he's not out fishing a tournament, he's playing poker, trying to make some money for entry fees. But
for
poker's
entry
like
fees.
yeah, poker is a game of it's a game of unknowns and putting the odds in your favor, incomplete information. So you get some clues, but you don't know everything, and you have to make educated guesses, and that's exactly what tournament fishing is.
Definitely.
Putting the odds in your favor.
Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. I feel like we could talk for like 4 hours right now.
No, for sure.
I got to run. I got to take care of my kid. But listen, man, thank you so much for calling in, or me calling you, whatever. I feel like I'm talking to the future of bass fishing right here, and I feel very grateful that you gave me some time. And when you become the next Mike Iaconelli or Bill Dance, don't forget about me. All right, we're gonna do another interview.
Oh yeah, we're going fishing next time.
Let's go, man. Let's go. And when the season dies down, if you ever need like a or anything, I'll drive up from Jupiter and I'll fish with you in 2 seconds, dude. I would love to fish with you.
Yeah, we'll go fishing sometime.
Definitely. And if you want to come down south and try to go for some clown knifefish, peacock bass.
Oh, dude.
Snakeheads.
You know how to catch those?
Oh, I'm dialed in, dude.
No way.
Yeah, bro.
On the clown knives and the peacocks?
Dialed in on the clown knives and know exactly how to catch them, bro.
Oh my gosh.
You want to know how? I'll tell you real quick. I'm going to edit this out because I'll tell anything about Ken's. I might not. bobber, 6 to 8 foot leader, tiny circle hook, little split shot, maybe 6 inches above the circle hook, live shiner. Usually at night, I use a glow in the dark bobber from Walmart, but you can catch them during the day too. You just have to go to the right canal, and they come up for air like tarpon, and you'll see them rolling. If you see one rolling, they're there. You cast that rig in, let it sit there, and then the key part is when they take the bait. When that bobber goes down, that bobber has to be completely gone underwater for 5 Mississippis. And if that thing is down under the water for 5 Mississippis, then you set the hook. And because their mouths are just so small, and
right,
they're made of like paper mache, so you really got to let them eat, then you blast them. But dude, come on down. I've got them like 40 minutes south of me. I've got a spot where we could go and get snakehead, clown knife, and peacock bass in one sitting.
From the bank?
From the bank, dog.
Dude, that's so badass.
Boat fish don't count.
No, man, we're going to have to do that soon.
Let's do it, bro. You and your dad come down. We'll go. I'll bring my son. We'll all go out and catch some fish, dude.
That would be awesome.
Let's do it, man. Hit me up when you're off the circuit, when you've got some downtime.
Heck, 100%. I will.
All right, cool, man.
Probably. Are you around in July?
Yeah, I'm a teacher, so I'm off in the summer.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, dude. Sweet. Come down in July. We'll put in like a full night hunting clown knife, and they put up a great fight. They jump. I love those fish, and they look beautiful.
I just want to see one of those things, like fully grown. Because I used to have one of those in my aquarium.
Oh, you did?
Peacock bass.
Oh, dude, now we got to catch him. Catch him. I'll put you on some big peas. We'll do it, dude. We'll do it.
All right, that sounds good.
All right, man. Well, wish your dad a happy birthday for me. Tell him he's doing a great job. You're a great kid, and I'm looking forward to talking to you more in the future.
All right, I really appreciate you having me. It was great talking with you.
Of course, man. You have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Later, bro.
Don't you walk on me.